Hello, friends. Today I want to talk to you about strategy, MSTR, because there's a lot of chatter I saw on our WhatsApp group. So I thought maybe I'll share my thoughts, maybe share some facts with you guys that can help you figure out what's going on with the strategy right now. So that's what this video is going to be all about. Now, why right now? Because Bitcoin is going through a major correction. It came down from $126,000 to about $86,000 rather quickly. So it's creating a lot of panic for people who own Bitcoin, or people who are thinking about getting in Bitcoin. And not just Bitcoin, it has affected a lot of assets that are linked with Bitcoin. For example, Robinhood got affected with it. Galaxy got affected with it. All the crypto assets for sure, like Ethereum got affected with it. BMNR got affected with it. And certainly MSTR. So Bitcoin is affecting a lot of stocks directly. But even indirectly, it's impacting a lot of stocks as well. So it's having a major impact right now in the market. So just in case you're watching this video sometime in future, I'm talking about here in October, November of 2025. Today is December 1st, 2025. So let's talk about MSTR. But before I talk about MSTR, let me remind you guys that I'm not an investment advisor. I don't tell you what to buy, what to sell. Not my business. I'm a coach. I teach people how to think about finance, how to think about different asset classes, and try to improve their financial knowledge, help them build a little bit more patience, help them learn how to look at finance so that way they feel comfortable with it. Otherwise, finance can be very scary, especially on the red days. So you're probably feeling that right now. Okay, so having that said, now that you understand I'm not here to sell you anything, nor do I make any kind of recommendation, let's talk about MSTR. So the whole conversation started with Anindya Bhai posting that MSTR might have to liquidate its Bitcoins if the price falls below $74,000. I know Anindya Bhai is not into Bitcoins. I know that because I know him personally. So why does he say liquidate? Where did he get that word from? He probably picked it up either from some social media or maybe YouTube or something like that. Because I don't think Saylor used that word or strategy, anybody at strategy used that word. I think this whole thing came from when the CEO of strategy said that if the MNAV of MSTR goes below 1, then maybe they will consider selling Bitcoin or selling Bitcoin derivatives in extreme circumstances. That means the company was financially not stable and they have no choice. In that case, they might consider that. Now, that kind of got picked up by different people. And I don't blame them so much because, Michael Saylor has been on record for making bold statements about Bitcoin. I think one time somebody sent me a meme, sell your kidney, buy a Bitcoin, or hold on to your Bitcoin or something like that. I don't know if Saylor said this, but that's the kind of sentiment out there. That means MSTR is such a big believer of Bitcoin. And now all of a sudden, they're saying that we are open to selling Bitcoin. And that spooked the market. That spooked a lot of people. That spooked a lot of believers. But people who believe that, Bitcoin is the way to live life. They all of a sudden like, what? Are they talking about selling Bitcoin? And I think that's where this narrative around that they have to liquidate kind of picked up. That's point number one. Point number two is I think people misinterpreted or misunderstood what Saylor was trying to say or strategy was trying to say. They're not saying that they're going to sell the Bitcoin. They're saying, look, if company happened to be in trouble and MNAV was below 1, then we'll be open to selling Bitcoin. But that's not the only way to raise funds. For example, strategy also disclosed that they actually raised $1.44 billion in, I think, 8 days, in a week or something like that. That $1.44 billion was sold at MNAV of 1.17. That means they issued shares of MSTR and they raised $1.44 billion. So number one thing I want to tell you is just look at the demand for MSTR. In 8 days, they were able to raise $1.44 billion. Now, usually when they raise funds, like I was saying earlier, what do companies do? They buy back stocks. They say, look, our stock is undervalued, let's buy them back. But Sailor here, or strategy here, is saying that we're going to use these funds to pay dividends. We're not going to stop dividends. We're going to continue to pay dividends to people, and we're going to use this money for doing that. And they're targeting the reserve at the minimum of 12 months of dividends right now. And they want to bring it up to about 24 months. I think this is a change in their strategy. They're saying, look, if we want to continue to raise capital, another 1.4 billion, 1.5 billion, we need to give assurances to the market that we're safe. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to show them that here is a separate bucket of $2 billion, $3 billion. That is enough to pay you dividends for next 2 years. And usually crypto assets recover within 2 years. So there's nothing for you to worry about. So that's point number one, that they're creating a strategy to give confidence to their debt holders. Because that's the biggest risk, right? If the Bitcoin were to fall below $70,000 or $50,000, those people who hold strategy debt would be in panic. And here strategy is saying, look, don't worry for next. So I think the $1.44 billion right now, by the way, is more than enough, I think, to cover about 20 months or 21 months of those dividend payments. So they're good. They're good for next almost a year and a half, 2 years. So there's no reason for them to sell. Now, they might sell just to increase that reserve, because sometimes Bitcoin can go through those 4 or 5 year cycle. So they might say, hey, you know what, let's do that. But think about it. If they raise $1.4 billion just in 1 week, they can easily raise another 1.4 in another 1 week, right? So keep that in mind. And if they do that, then they're all good for next 4 or 5 years. They can pay those dividends and don't have to worry about debt whatsoever. And they can wait for Bitcoin to recover. And hopefully it does recover. If you take a look at strategy stock price, I'm looking at it on the other screen right now. It opened up around $167, dropped to about $156. And by the end of the day, it recovered to about $173. So shows you also a lot of strength in MicroStrategy as well. So I think people are over exaggerating the problem right now than what it really is. I think strategy can survive. I don't think they are at risk of liquidating. Bitcoin has its own risk, right? Bitcoin right now, sentiments around crypto is really, really bad because it got hit a lot. So question is, would that stabilize over the next few days? Now, I want to remind you guys that Bitcoin had dropped to what I think in 70s, low 70s or something like that. And it went up to $94,000 just over the weekend. So Bitcoin can do things like that. It can recover from 86 to $100,000 before you know it. It's just one of those crazy assets that can do anything. So I hope this kind of puts a little bit of perspective. So from where I'm sitting right now, debt was the biggest issue, and that kind of bothered me as well whenever I look at MSTR, that all these debt holders are going to be in a lot of trouble if Bitcoin is not able to pay. But strategy has solved that problem. They simply have diluted the shareholders and take care of their debt holders. So I think that burden is not as much anymore. Those dividends are secured, and they can certainly continue to do so. They're openly saying they want the reserve to be minimum 24 plus months. So they might actually, dilute another 2%, 3%, and generate enough reserves to take care of people for next 3 to 4 years. So as a shareholder, would I be happy or would I be mad? Well, as in one sense, I feel, okay, people would at least hold on to MSTR stock. Maybe they would not see it going bankrupt anytime soon. But I'm not happy that the fact that company is diluting me just to pay dividends, especially when your asset is something like Bitcoin that doesn't really generate income. But hey, if I'm buying MSTR, then most likely I'm okay with that kind of risk. So this is what's happening with Bitcoin right now, and as well as MSTR. Obviously, today was a risk-off day because Japanese yen yield, at least that's what I saw online and Twitter and everything. Whenever there is a red day, people find explanations. Our brain naturally wants to find why it's happening. So I understand that. But, yield's been rising for a while now. So nothing big about that. I think the bigger news is that QT has ended officially today. That is a big news, right? That's going to help a lot. And then most likely we are going to get a rate cut. President Trump has already said that he has already picked the next Fed chair. I mean, those three are major tailwinds. People are underestimating. Look at so many companies who are involved in infrastructure play right now. I'm reading left and right that these companies are converting their debt into stocks. Why are they doing it right now? When their stocks are crushed 40, 50%. Why are they doing it right now? Why not wait till next year when the stock is up another 50, 60%? Well, because they feel that this is the right time to do it, is because the stocks are undervalued. The sentiments are horrible. So why not take care of that dilution right now? So when market comes back up in a couple of months, and things will look a lot more rosy. So I think sentiment-wise, this is a really bad time. And as I was talking to my group members, I'm like, look, honestly speaking, if you're really worried about this AI stuff, that is a big bubble, then I don't really care what stock you own. You're going to have a hard time. As a matter of fact, even if you look at the traditional safe assets, you look at gold, silver, I mean, they're starting to act like crypto as well, right? Because why do you buy gold? Why do you buy silver? You buy gold and silver because you feel the economy is crashing. When you feel that the dollar is getting really, really weak, okay? Yeah, it's getting a little bit weak, but nothing compared to as much people have piled up in gold and silver. It's just too crazy. Just too much money is moving there. In matter of fact, one of the problem right now with assets is, just your equities as well as crypto assets as well, is that the gold and silver is taking a lot of your liquidity. So the moment things, ease up a little bit and interest rate comes down, you see how much money will move back from that asset class back into these companies that are going to generate a lot of income in coming years. So don't be surprised to see that kind of rotation. So you might say, well, that's not possible. Well, who would have thought gold will go up 50, 60% in a year, right? But it's happening. Who would have thought silver would go up almost 100% in a year? But it had happened. I was not I was hoping that things will cool down for at least a few months and then they rally back up. That was my theory on it, but it didn't really happen that way. It's all gold is is very bullish right now. Silver is very bullish right now. And honestly speaking, from where I'm sitting, I don't like it because nothing goes up forever. So some people say that about Bitcoin, that, oh, look at everybody was bullish on Bitcoin, now Bitcoin is crashed. But the other way around is also true. Nothing goes up forever, right? Everything needs to come back, revert to mean. So keep that in mind as well. So in the coaching program going forward, we are going to be making some changes and thinking about some of these risks that have nothing to do with our stocks or the companies that we own, but these risks are all around us. So we need to have an open discussion around these risks and build some mechanism to protect us going forward. So I'll encourage you to start doing some digging around those things as well, because they can be very, very dangerous in coming months or even in a year or two. I don't know when that would happen, but whenever it does happen, that is going to cause a lot of pain. So be prepared, be ready, educate yourself, and don't get caught red-handed. All right. So I hope this helps you. And if it does, then just give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time.